In the quiet English countryside, the Bennet family resides in Longbourn, their estate modest, their household lively with 5 daughters whose futures hinge upon advantageous marriages. Mrs. Bennet obsesses over securing matches, while Mr. Bennet observes with detached irony, amused by his wife's preoccupations, yet aware of the social necessity they entail. The eldest daughters, Jane and Elizabeth, embody differing temperaments. Jane gentle, serene, and easily admired. Elizabeth lively, witty, and acutely perceptive, often challenging social convention. The arrival of wealthy bachelor Mr. Bingley at Netherfield sparks curiosity and excitement, promising opportunity for social advancement and romantic possibility among the local families. Bingley, amiable and affable, quickly becomes admired by the community, and his interest in Jane Bennet is observed with delight and scrutiny. Accompanying Bingley is his friend Mr. Darcy, proud, reserved, and socially aloof, whose initial conduct offends Elizabeth and many others with perceived arrogance. Elizabeth encounters Darcy at social gatherings and perceives in him both intelligence and haughtiness, a mixture that irritates and fascinates her in equal measure. As interactions continue, Darcy's reserve contrasts with Bingley's warmth, highlighting distinctions in social demeanor, personal pride, and capacity for judgment. Jane and Bingley's attachment deepens, yet misunderstandings and social interference, particularly from Caroline Bingley and Mr. Darcy's initial disapproval, threaten their union. Elizabeth meets Mr. Wickham, a charming officer, whose accounts of injustice by Darcy inflame her prejudice and shape early impressions through partial truth. Gossip, reputation, and societal expectation weigh heavily upon the characters, influencing decisions and colouring perceptions of character and morality. Elizabeth's sharp observation and wit clash with societal norms, yet her independence and moral discernment distinguish her from many contemporaries. Darcy, in contrast, wrestles with pride and self-awareness, gradually recognizing the limitations of his social assumptions and the value of personal humility. Through visits, letters, and conversations, truths emerge gradually, revealing that Wickham's charm masks deceit, while Darcy's reserve conceals deep moral integrity. Elizabeth confronts the discrepancy between first impressions and reality, experiencing discomfort and growth as she reassesses her judgments of character. Darcy's own reflection upon his behavior and societal influence leads him to act with discretion, generosity, and moral courage in both public and private spheres. He aids Jane and Bingley, protecting their reputations and facilitating reconciliation without seeking acknowledgement, a testament to evolving character and virtue. Social gatherings, balls, and family visits serve as stages for subtle negotiation of class, expectation, and personal desire, illustrating societal codes of propriety. The dynamics of wealth, inheritance, and social position shape the prospects of all daughters, particularly as Longbourn's entail leaves the estate destined for distant male relatives. Mr. Collins, clergyman and cousin, presents a practical but socially rigid marriage proposal to Elizabeth, reflecting societal pressures and economic necessity. Elizabeth refuses, asserting personal principle over advantage, a decision both unconventional and reflective of her moral compass. Charlotte Lucas, pragmatic and observant, accepts Mr. Collins, prioritizing security and social stability over romantic affection, highlighting contrasting female responses to societal constraints. Elizabeth's relationships with her family, particularly Jane and Lydia, illuminate differing responses to social expectation, romance, and personal morality. Lydia's impulsive flirtation and eventual elopement with Wickham threaten familial honor, exposing vulnerabilities within social structures reliant upon reputation. Darcy's intervention to resolve the scandal demonstrates moral responsibility, discretion, and the application of wealth and influence toward ethical ends. Elizabeth witnesses Darcy's humility and action, gradually reassessing prior prejudice and recognizing the depth of his character beyond social exterior. Misunderstandings give way to clarity, as letters, explanations, and candid discourse illuminate truth, revealing the interplay of intention, perception, and judgment. Darcy's proposal to Elizabeth, initially unexpected, embodies transformation, humility, and recognition of mutual respect and affection, transcending pride and misjudgment. Elizabeth's acceptance signifies the union of intellect, virtue, and emotional understanding, a reconciliation of societal expectation with personal principle. Supporting characters continue to reflect social norms and contrasts. Jane's serene sweetness, Lydia's impetuosity, Bingley's affability, and Caroline's manipulation. The novel's setting, from Longbourn to Netherfield to Pemberley, mirrors the movement from misjudgment and superficial impression toward understanding, reflection, and harmony. Darcy's home, Pemberley, symbolizes moral and social rectitude, wealth used responsibly, and the integration of personal integrity with public virtue. Elizabeth's visit to Pemberley allows insight into Darcy's character through observation, conversation, and domestic order, further eroding prejudice. The narrative emphasizes the reconciliation of emotion with reason, highlighting the importance of reflection, awareness, and moral discernment in forming judgments. Marriage emerges not merely as social necessity, but as a reflection of character, virtue, and mutual respect, contrasting opportunistic or superficial unions. Elizabeth and Darcy exemplify the possibility of genuine affection guided by intelligence, morality, and understanding of social constraint. The resolution of familial conflicts, including Lydia and Wickham, demonstrates the necessity of intervention, moral action, and prudence within societal frameworks. Character growth is central. Elizabeth tempers prejudice with knowledge, Darcy tempers pride with humility, and both embrace insight gained through experience. Humor, irony, and observation pervade the narrative, offering critique of social pretension, class anxiety, and human foibles. Jane Austen's prose balances wit and reflection, conveying social dynamics, moral consequences, and individual development through dialogue and narration. The novel illustrates contrasts, reason versus impulse, pride versus humility, love guided by principle versus affection guided by appearance. It examines societal structures, including inheritance laws, gender expectation, and the weight of reputation in constraining and guiding behavior. Elizabeth's perceptiveness and moral insight allow her to navigate societal pressure while preserving autonomy, judgment, and emotional integrity. Darcy's evolution, mirrored in action and restraint, reflects the alignment of wealth, power, and moral responsibility, avoiding misuse or vanity. The novel's climactic unions, Elizabeth and Darcy, Jane and Bingley, represent reconciliation of social propriety with personal virtue and mutual understanding. Secondary resolutions, including Lydia and Wickham's managed marriage, restore social equilibrium, preserving familial honor while acknowledging human folly. Throughout, Austen explores the tension between societal expectation and individual moral agency, emphasizing character over appearance. Dialogue, observation, and social interaction illuminate subtle judgments, revealing motives, constraints, and virtues within complex social fabric. The narrative portrays love as intertwined with insight, virtue, and mutual respect, contrasting with marriages of convenience or pride-driven unions. Family, community, and social position shape, but do not dictate moral or emotional development, reflecting the interplay of circumstance and choice. Elizabeth's intelligence, wit, and discernment emerge as guiding forces, enabling navigation through social complexity and emotional challenge. Darcy's respect for principle, discretion, and action highlights the potential for reconciliation between wealth, social status, and ethical behavior. Austen presents society in microcosm. Longbourn reflects broader class dynamics, expectations, and gender roles, allowing reflection on human behavior. The novel's resolution emphasizes the triumph of understanding, virtue, and reasoned affection over pride, misjudgment, and social limitation. Elizabeth and Darcy's marriage is emblematic of moral and emotional growth, mutual respect, and the reconciliation of personality with social expectation. Jane and Bingley's happiness reinforces the values of patience, decorum, and sincerity in achieving fulfillment within societal framework. The narrative's humor tempers critique, highlighting human absurdity, vanity, and misapprehension while guiding readers toward reflection. Through character development, social observation, and narrative resolution, Austen advocates discernment, moral acuity, and authentic human connection. Pride and Prejudice, in thought or action, yield consequences. Awareness, humility, and reflection enable understanding and happiness. The interplay of individual agency, social constraint, and ethical judgment permeates each encounter, misjudgment, and reconciliation. Elizabeth and Darcy's story demonstrates that personal integrity, keen observation, and moral courage can surmount societal pressures. The conclusion unites reason and feeling, virtue and affection, societal awareness, and personal choice in harmonious resolution. Austen's work remains enduring in its insight into human character, social expectation, and the balance of intellect and emotion. In Pride and Prejudice, reflection, dialogue, and observation guide both characters and readers toward discernment, understanding, and ethical insight. The narrative's lasting impact derives from its combination of wit, social critique, moral examination, and celebration of authentic human connection. Ultimately, Elizabeth and Darcy exemplify the union of intellect, virtue, and feeling, demonstrating the transformative power of understanding and mutual respect.